This is on page 70 of this book, Universal Prayers, from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. This is not one of the major Upanishads, but still it is a very important Upanishad, Shvetashvatara Upanishad. And this particular shloka, mantra I am going to chant is from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Om Tvam Stri Tvam Pumanasi Tvam Kumara Utava Kumari Tvam Jirno Dandena Vanchasi Tvam Jato Bhavasi Vishwato Mukhaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Divine Lord, Thou art woman, Thou art man, Thou art youth, Thou art maiden, Thou art the old man tottering on the staff. Thou dost appear born in manifold forms. All forms are indeed the forms of the divine self alone. Om peace. May there be peace in our hearts. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. May there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Daivika Shanti. So let us continue chapter 6. We have to do verse number 9, right? Yes. This verse number 9 in chapter 6 is about same-sightedness, samadarshitvam. Same-sightedness means looking upon everybody in the same way, seeing the same divine presence in all, not differentiating. One person, another person, treating somebody one way, treating another person in a different way. Not like that, treating everybody with equal respect and love and compassion. The basis for this samadarshitvam is seeing the same divine presence in all. That is the most basic truth of Vedanta, one divine presence in all beings, even in good people, bad people, wicked people, saintly people, animals and plants, ferocious animals, same divine is present. But all beings are not aware of this divine presence in them. Animals are not aware of divine presence in them. People can become aware of divine presence, but many of them don't. The time has not come. Saintly people are those who are experiencing 100% divine presence within them. And we are in between. We are seekers. We are sadhaka seekers. We are trying to feel God's presence within us, trying to see God's presence in other people. You have to try. That is the sloka. How to do that one? So verse number 9, let me chant. Suhran mitra yudasina madhyastadveshya bandhushu sadhushvapi cha papeshu samabuddhir vishishyate. Suhrit means a person helps other people without expecting anything in return for his help, helping nature. Whenever somebody needs something, if I go to something, I will go and help. That such a person is called a Sugrit. Sugrit also means a person with a good heart. Hrit means Hridaya or heart. Surit means a person who has a good heart. Such a person. Sugrit. Mitra means a friendly person who is friendly towards us. Sugrin Mitra. Ari. Third word is Ari. Ari means some people don't like us for whatever reason. They think of us as their enemies. We are not enemies, but they think that we are their enemies. They're not friendly towards us. Ari. There are people like that. Fourth one is Udasinaha. Udasina means a neutral person. Does not take sides. He remains neutral towards everybody. Suhrit, Mitra, Ari, Udasina. 4 words. Fifth word is Madhyastha. Madhyastha means a person who does not take any sides. Remains impartial. Madhyastha means impartial person. Similar to Udasina, Madhyastha. Dveshya. Dveshya means a person who does not have good qualities. Some people detest such people, Dveshya person. Such people are there, many. Dveshya Bandhushu. Bandhu means relative, close friend or close relative. And then 2 more. Sadhushu api papeshu. Sadhushu means in sadhus, very good people. Papeshu means sinful people. These are all in Saptami Vibhakti, locative case. Suranmitra Vidasena Madhyastha Dveshya Bandhushu Sadhushu api Papeshu. And in all these people, Samabuddhihi, a person who has equal same-sightedness, Samabuddhi, treating them alike. But as we saw before, you have to be careful. If there is a wicked person, we should not try to become too friendly or get too close to such a person. That will not work out well. So remember Sri Ramakrishna's parable of the wild elephant. The wild elephant also, God is there, but the wild elephant does not know anything about God. So you have to stay away from it. Otherwise, it is dangerous. So you, from a distance, you go down to the wild elephant and say, "You're also Narayana, but you don't know. So I stay away from you. From a distance, I bow down to you," like that. So when you go to the zoo, we should not go into the tiger's den or lion's den. It will be dangerous. The God is in them also, but they don't know. We have to be careful in applying these rules in practice. Now, this idea of same-sightedness has come before in the previous chapter. You remember chapter 5? Anybody remembers this shloka? 18. 5:18. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Sunichaiva Shvapake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. Samadarshi means same-sighted person. So when similar ideas have come before, you have to associate. Otherwise, you will forget the old shlokas and everything appears new. So association of related ideas is a very important part of study. So every time, as much as I can, I'll point out earlier shlokas with the same meaning, same idea, where same idea has come. So 5:18, 6:9, they both speak about Samadarshitvam. This idea of practice of Samadarshitvam is very important for meditation. Why it comes in this 6th chapter? Because if you have strong likes and dislikes towards certain people, then that will be an obstruction in meditation. If I like some people very much, very strong, I'm attached to them. And if you don't like some other person and very much hate that person, that kind of lack of same-sightedness is a big obstruction in meditation. So those who want to meditate must practice Samadarshitva. How to practice Samadarshitva? The only basis for a Samadarshitva is what? Same divine presence in all. One divinity present in all. Whole universe is God himself. So he is present in all. That idea comes throughout the Gita. Samam Sarvesh, 13th chapter, verse 27. You can make a note of that one. Swami Vivekananda was very fond of that verse 13:27. Samam Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram. Parameshwaram means Supreme Lord. Tishtantam means he is sitting, present. in all the beings, sarveshu bhuteshu, in all the beings. How? Samam, in the same way. Not more in some, not less in others. Though from the outward uh, appearance, people appear so different. Some are very wicked people doing bad things, some are very saintly people doing good things. But in both of them, same divine is present. What makes the difference? If same God is present in the same way, then everybody should be nice and saintly people. Why some people are wicked? This is because the mind of some people is so impure that they are not aware of God's presence in them. They are not aware of God's presence. They just think that they are the body mind and that is all. So they do whatever the mind tells them to do. The minds are impure, full of kama krodha, lust, anger, greed, etc. So they behave like that. It does not mean God is not present in them. He is there, but they are not, time has not come for them to become aware of God's presence in them. They will eventually, but right now, they are not aware of God's presence in them. They don't even believe in it. If you tell them God is present in you, they will laugh at you. What kind are you? There is no such thing as God, they will say. So there is no use telling them. We should never try to convince anybody of God and all this. It won't work unless they are ready. If they are ready, then it works. So this basis for same-centeredness, seeing the same divine presence in all. 1327. Also, 15th verse, 15th chapter, 15th verse, 15. These are all associated ideas. We have to bring them, keep them together in our minds. 15, Sri Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha. Sarvasya hridi aham sannivishtaha. In the hearts of all, I am present, the Lord is saying. Like this in many places in the Gita. This idea that God is present in all comes again and again, and that is the basis for Samadarshitvam. It will come in this chapter also, 30th verse later. 6 also it will come. So practicing Samadarshitva is a requirement for meditation. The mind will not be too much disturbed by strong likes and dislikes towards people. So that is why verse number 9 is given here. Now we go to verse number 10. How to achieve this same-sightedness? What practice we have to do? That is explained in verse number 10. Practical instruction for meditation. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthitaha ekaki yata chittatma nirashira parigraha. Many things to be practiced. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthitaha ekaki yata chittatma nirashira parigraha. A yogi only wants to practice meditation. Satatam atmanam yunjita. One must engage oneself in yoga. Yoga means meditation. Satatam means constantly, not sporadically, every day. Every day at certain fixed times, at least twice a day. Swami Brahmananda said, a real serious spiritual seeker must meditate 4 times a day. The Swami Raja Maharaj Brahmananda's instruction. If you're really serious about spiritual life, he said you have to sit down 4 times a day. What are the 4 times he recommended? Before sunrise, middle of the day, sunset, and midnight. That is difficult for many people. Twice a day is minimum and practical. Possible, minimum and possible. We can do manage twice a day, morning and evening. At least half hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour each time. That much time you must allocate for spiritual life, for meditation, if you are really want to see some result. I was reading this book, Swami Chetanananda's book, Shri Sarada Devi and her Divine Play. It's a fantastic book. One day, somebody wrote a letter to Holy Mother Shri Sarada Devi. That person was saying in that letter, he was complaining that he is not making progress in spiritual life. Then Holy Mother said this in reply: if you want to see progress, you must do japa 15,000 to 20,000 times a day. Then you can see some progress. 15,000 to 20,000 japa, if you do every day, then you will feel a difference. If you do less, you will not feel, you may not feel it, but you will be making the progress. Even if you do 108 japa, you will be making progress. But it is so small that you won't be able to feel it. So that is how intense a person must try. Satatam, intensely, continuously, satatam, without break, without interruption. Yogi, satatam, atmanam, yunjita, must engage oneself in yoga. How? Rahasi sthitaha. Rahasya means in secret, not in a way everybody should see I'm meditating, not like that one. So when we meditate, we should do it in a secluded place. Sri Ramakrishna talks about seclusion. Nobody should know that we are doing all this spiritual practice. So Rahasi means in solitude. Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel so many times, many times he has talked about practicing meditation in solitude. He says you can practice in a forest, bane, or you can practice in the corner of your house, kone, or you can practice in this solitude of your own mind, mane, bane, kone, mane. Any place without uh, wanting people to notice that you are meditating. It should not be done. Rahasi, sthitaha. Rahasi also means without interruption from outside sources. People always carry cell phone. Always people are carrying cell phone. And people, constantly text is coming, it's ringing, messages are coming. That is not good for meditation. At least for 2 hours a day, you have to keep all the appliances away. Not only turn them off, but keep them away, not even near you. If it is near you, mind will go there. Keep it in the next room or in the office or bedroom somewhere. No appliance, nothing, no connection to the outside world must be there. That is rahasistitaha. Very important. Sri Ramakrishna emphasizes solitude in many places in the gospel. Atmanam sanjita rahasistitaha, staying in solitude. Ekaki, alone. Group meditation is good, but it also has distractions. Best thing is to meditate alone. Ekaki means alone. Sometimes group meditation is helpful. It has a synergic effect. Some of the individual effort is greater than the total effect is greater than the sum of the individual effort. It works in sometimes, but ideally ekaki, alone. In the spiritual journey, we have to travel single file. Up to some point, we can have company, but in the last stage of the journey, one person only, single file. Ekaki. Yata chittatma. Chitta means mind, atma here means body. Mind, body both have to be controlled. Yata means controlled. Nirashi. Nirashi must be familiar to you. It has come before. You can try to remember where you have seen it before. Nirashi means without having any cravings, desires. If you have strong desires, there are big obstruction to meditation. Desire for something, even for good things, if you have desire, and they will obstruct in meditation. Nirashi means free from desire, free from cravings. Aparigraha. Aparigraha means not having unnecessary possessions more than the minimum basic required. Aparigraha. Patanjali also talks about aparigraha in Yama Niyama. Nirashi means free from cravings. Remember where it came before? Chapter 3, verse number 30. Chapter 3, 30. There, Sri Krishna gives 5 instructions on how to do our work, Karma Yoga. Chapter 3 was Karma Yoga. Nirashi is an important word, it will come again also. There, among the 5 instructions Sri Krishna gives on how to do our work, this is one of them. Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatajvaraha. Free from cravings. Meditation will be not smooth if you have strong likes and desires for things. Aparigraha means not keeping more than the basic minimum required things. There are some exceptions to aparigraha. For householders who have children, family, dependents, parents who support, they need to keep more things because you don't know what you will need when. You have to store things for future. That is one way, but without attachment you can keep. But for a serious spiritual speakers, the fewer things you have, the better it is for you. The more things we have, more attachment will come. You think about the things you have. If we have more things, the things exert an influence on our mind, even if we don't use them. If simply the object is there in my room, that exerts influence on my mind. This is a known fact. So keeping things with oneself is an obstruction to meditation for those who are serious about meditation. Minimum things only we have to keep. Aparigraha. More than minimum, if you keep it, we will become attached to them and you have to maintain them, you think about them, you worry about them. It's all obstruction, unnecessary. Nirashira parigraha. These are all the various disciplines you have to practice to prepare the mind for meditation. If you don't do these things and sit down for meditation with all the desires and liking somebody more, being attached to somebody, hating somebody, with all those things, meditation will not be possible. They're all obstructions. In the book of Matthew, in the Bible, Lord Jesus Christ says, when you pray, when the prayers enter into the closet and shut the door. Don't turn in public square and let everybody see that you are praying. It's not necessary. In secret, rahasi, ekaki, rahasi sthitaha. Now, next instruction, sloka number 11. More practical instructions. Some things sometimes you have to modify these instructions to suit present conditions. These are instructions given in ancient times. So in the 11th verse, some modification we have to make to suit the present conditions. That is the verse number 11. Shuchau deshe pratisthapya sthiramasanamatmanaha natyuchritam nati nicham chailajinakushottaram. Shuchau deshe. Shuchau deshe means in a pure place, clean place. Meditation place has to be clean and free from clutter. Fewer things there are, better it is in a meditation place. More things there are, more possibilities of distraction. Mind thinks about those things. Shuchau desha, in a clean place. Asanam, sthiram asanam pratisthapya. Pratisthapya means establishing, preparing an asana, seat for meditation. The seat must be firm, without moving. Sthiram. That's a requirement. When we sit down in one place on a chair or an asana, we should not move. It must be fixed. Constantly moving is a distraction to meditation. Sthiram, fixed. Na ati uchritam, not too high. Na ati nicham, not too low. Those days they were meditating in the forest, preparing their seat under a tree. So there they had to follow these instructions. But if you have a regular meditation room in your puja room, meditation room, then you pick the same seat and every day you sit in the same seat. Not too high, not too uchritam, ati uchritam, na ati nicham, not too low. Shailajana kushottaram. Shaila means cloth, cotton cloth or silk cloth. Ajina means skin, deer skin. Kusha means grass. Uttaram, one on top of the other. This is not applicable now. We don't need kusha grass for our seat right now. This was in those days. They were in the open forest. They were meditating. So there are some other creepers and creatures used to come. To prevent, they would first spread a layer of kusha grass, very sharp grass. Kusha grass is the sharp grass, sharp edge. They would make a layer of grass, first layer. On top of that, they would put a layer of skin, usually deer skin. On top of that, they would put a piece of cloth, make it soft. All those things we don't need now. You just have your own asana, a very thin asana that is comfortable for you, and use the same asana every day. A pillow or something, whatever kind of. Sometimes we need a recline. Some people cannot sit straight for long hours without support, so need something to recline against. That's okay. Whatever asana you choose, keep the same asana every day, and you should be comfortable sitting in the asana for long periods without any distraction, without having to move the body and change the position. That is the idea. Sthiram asanam. Patanjali says, for asana, only two requirements he gives in the Yoga Sutras. He says, sthira sukham asanam. Asana must be sthira and sukha. Sthira means firm. You don't have to move. Periodically, if you have to move like this, and that is a distraction. Sthira, it must be fixed. Sukha means it must be comfortable. You should be able to sit down comfortably without thinking about the body for at least a half hour, 1 hour at a time. That is all the requirements. Sthira sukhama kailajana kushottaram. Preparing a seat like this one. These instructions you can modify to suit your individual needs. Whatever suits for you, works for you, that you have to do. These are general instructions. Sloka number 12, more practical instructions. Tatraikagram manah kritva yata chittendriya kriyaha upavishyasane yunjat yogam atma vishuddhaye. Tatra, on that seat, in that meditation place, manaha ekagram kritva. Ekagram means one pointed. Agra means end, sharp edge, point. Ekagra means one pointed. Ekagrata means concentration. Tatra, in that meditation place, mana ekagram kritva, making the mind one pointed, not thinking of various things. Yata chitta indriya kriyaha. All these things have come before. Yata means controlled. Chitta means mind. Indriya means sense organs. Kriya means activities. Controlling the activities, the mind and sense organs. Main thing in meditation. Not allowing the mind to go here and there, not allowing sense organs to do this and that. Controlling mind and sense organs. This has come many times. That is the main point in meditation. Controlling mind and sense organs. Yata chitta indriya kriyaha. Making the mind one pointed, controlling the activities of the mind and senses. Asane upaveshya. Sitting down on that asana that you have prepared, you are comfortable. You must be comfortable with that asana. However you prepare, it's an individual choice. but you must be able to sit comfortably in that asana. Upavishya asane yogam atmavishuddhaye yunjat. Yogam yunjat. One must engage in meditation. Yoga here means meditation. One must engage in meditation, sitting on that seat, controlling the activities of the mind and sense organs, making the mind one pointed. For what purpose? Atma Vishuddhaye. Atma Vishuddhaye, for purity of the mind. Atma Vishuddhaye. Why meditation? Make the mind pure from all distractions. When distractions are gone, God's presence is felt. God is present now in us, but the mind is full of distractions, unable to see God, seeing the world outside. So when all the outside distractions are removed, mind turns inward and we see, we realize, oh, God was already there all this time. He was sitting in my heart. Only I did not I paid attention to the outside world. I didn't pay attention to him. He was sitting in that realization will come. That's why you will realize. We realize that we already were divine. God was already there. So these are some practical instructions. You can make changes depending upon your personal needs. Then we go to sloka number 13, a few more instructions. Samam kaya shiro grivam dharayan achalam sthiraha samprekshanaasikagram svam dishaschanavalokayan. Samam kaya shira griva. Kaya means body. Body means the torso, backbone, upper part of the body. We are sitting on asana. Kaya. Some people cannot sit down on the floor. I cannot sit down on the floor because of the knee problem. I can't bend my knees. Earlier I used to. So I sit down on the chair. That's okay. As long as I'm able to sit down on the chair comfortably for some time without having to move, that chair is also okay. Samam Kaya Shira Grivam. Three things have to be aligned in one vertical line. Kaya Shira Griva. Kaya means the body. Shira means the head. Griva means the neck. One vertical line, you should be sitting like this. Not heeling to one side, right side or left side or front like this, stooping. No. One vertical line. Body, neck and head. Kaya Shira Griva. Griva means neck. Samam Kaya Shiro Grivam, keeping the body, mind and neck in one vertical line. Achalam Dharayan Achalam Sthiraha, keeping this firmly, Sthira, firmly without moving, Achalam without moving. Movement is a distraction. Nasikagram, Swam Nasikagram Sampreksha, this should not be taken literally. Looking at one's own tip of nose, that's what it means literally. No, that won't work. We can't do that one. You start hurting. If you look at the tip of the nose, very soon the eyes begin to hurt. That's not what is meant. What is meant is not looking at any particular object. If you look at any object, that the mind will think about the object. So without looking at anything, if you look at anything at all, even if you look at your leg, you think about the leg. It may be an outside object. Somebody comes to meditation, you look at that person, then you think about the person. So not looking at anybody or anything else. Closing the eyes or keeping it half open, better closing the eyes. Samprekshan asika garam swam, dishasta anavalokayan. Disha means the directions. Anavalokan. Avalokana means looking at. Anavalokan means not looking in any direction. The tendency is in group meditation, we hear the door open and the tendency is to look at who came, why that person is coming late, like that we think. Those things should not be done. Nothing should be allowed to distract our attention from our object of meditation. This is not looking in any direction. Then verse number 14. These are general instructions. They don't need much explanation. Verse number 14. Prashantatma vigatabhi brahmacharya vrate sthitaha manas samyamya machittaha yukta asita matparaha. Let me read the translation. Verse number 14. With the inner sense tranquilized, fear gone, established in the vow of chastity, controlling the mind, thoughts anchored in me, the integrated yogin should sit intent on me. All these instructions have come before and they'll come again. General instructions for spiritual life in general. Prashantatma. Atma here means mind. Prashantatma means the mind must be calm. That is the greatest problem. If you ask me one biggest problem in spiritual life, the problem is to keep the mind calm because so many distractions will come, emotions will come, anger will come, disappointment will come. Our body will start hurting, the mind will go to the body. So keeping the mind calm in spite of all these distractions, that is the main thing in spiritual life. However we try to do it, we have to accomplish, we have to get that one. Prashantatma, with the mind remaining tranquil, the tranquil mind. Prashantatma, vigata bhihi. Bhi means bhaya, fear. One should not have fear as an obstruction to meditation, obstruction to spiritual life. Fear can be overcome in two ways. Fear is a very common human emotion. It has come before also. Fear can be overcome by reasoning or by devotion. Devotion is easier. See, in our scriptures, the Lord has promised, if you are devoted to me, I shall take care of all your needs and protect you. Where it has come, it will come again, chapter 9, verse 22. If you like, you can remember the verse. God has promised, given a promise. You remain devoted to me, practice devotion to me, and I will provide whatever you need, I will protect what you need. I will provide and I will protect. 9:22. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam mahamyaham. Just remember the last part. Yogakshemam mahamyaham. I shall provide what you need. Yoga means God will provide what we need, what we don't have, but what we need. He will provide. That's yoga. Shema means whatever we have, he will protect it. Shema means protection. Both he will do. He has promised it. Yogakshema mahamyaham, he has said. So if you have firm faith in God, then we should have no fear at all. He will protect us, he will provide what we need. No need to fear. He's always standing behind us, leading our life step by step. We don't know, but his Holy Mother is standing, holding our hand, leading us our life step by step, step by step, step by step. We have to become aware of her presence. We have to become aware of God's presence in our lives. God's presence is there every time, all the time, even now. But we have to become aware of God's presence and feel God's presence every moment. That will remove the fear. How do we become aware of God's presence? By constant recollection. Constantly remembering God. Whatever action we are doing, eating, talking, walking, sleeping, whatever we are doing, constantly being aware that God is with us, within us, God is with us, guiding our lives. He is the guiding light of our lives. We have to put trust in God and entrust our life to God and be free from anxiety and fear. If you think that everything I'm controlling, then there is anxiety, there is fear. If you leave everything to God, let God lead our lives, then we have no fear. So that is one way to become free from fear, devotion. Second way is the Jnani's way. The Jnani says, I am not the body, I am not the mind. What is there to be afraid? I am Brahman. What is there to be afraid of? Brahman is ultimate reality. I am that. Of what I am afraid? There is no second thing to be afraid of. There is no second thing. Fear comes from the second object that we perceive. Somebody or something is there, or some wild animal is there, or some robber is there, or some other source of danger is there. So I'm afraid of that one, that other source. But for a Gnani, there is no other source, only Brahman. He is Brahman. So what's the fear? A devotee says, God is leading my life. I've taken refuge in God's hand, God's feet. I've given power of attorney to God. I have nothing to fear. The Lord is my shepherd and I shall not fear. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. There is famous verse, the book of Psalms, 23rd verse, 23rd chapter. The devotee has no fear. So either way, we should become free from fear as much as possible. Some fear will be there. We are human beings. Some fear will be there. Some sadness will be there. Some disappointment. All these things will be there. We are not at the ideal level, but still you can reduce them, minimize them. Try to remain as calm as possible. Vigatabhihi brahmachari vrate sthitaha, practicing celibacy. Celibacy means Swami Yatishwaranandaji Maharaj, who wrote that famous book, Meditation and Spiritual Life, is all actually lecture notes, notes of his lectures that he gave. He has 2 chapters there. Rules of celibacy for those who are married, rules of celibacy for those who are not married. For those who are not married, 100% celibacy. That is absolutely necessary. For married people, sometimes there are relaxations. Rules are relaxed. In the Gospel, Sri Ramakrishna also says, for married people, sometimes you can relax. So, brahmachari vrate sthitaha, practicing celibacy. Manaha samyamya, same thing comes, controlling the mind. No matter which way you go, you have to control the mind. That keeps coming back. Manaha samyamya. Next thing is machittaha. Machitta comes again in 11th chapter. Gita. Machitta means with the mind fixed on me. Mat means me, mind. Bhagavan is speaking. Chitta means mind. Our mind must be on God always. That's the main thing. If your mind is on the world, then you will go in a different direction. If you want to go towards God, we should keep our mind on God all the time as much as possible. In the midst of worldly duties, by performing all duties as worship, then we keep the mind on God. At the same time, we will be doing our duties. We will not be abandoning our duties. We'll be doing our duties, we'll be thinking about God by doing all work as worship, as offering. That we know from earlier studies. Machittaha, with the mind fixed on me. Yukta asita. Asita means one must sit down, yukta, with concentration. Integrated, yogi. Matparaha. Matpara also comes again several times. Making God the supreme. Para means supreme. Para means supreme. Matpara means making me supreme. Me means God here. If you ask a devotee this question, tell me one thing that is most important in your life without which you cannot live. What should be the answer? Only one thing I have to say. The most important thing without which I cannot live. What is that one thing? We should be able to say God is that one thing. If we say something else, then we are not really spiritual seekers. For some people, it is not the case. They want power. They want to remain in power. They want money. They want success. They want all those things. God is not very much in their minds. They may be good people, but their priorities are different. Matpara means for spiritual seekers, the one and only most important thing that really matters in your life is God. Everything comes later, low priority. You can have other things in life. We can have families and jobs and money and everything you can have. They all receive low priority. They have their place in our life. But God is the most important thing. Matpara means making me the supreme goal of life. That we should never forget. What is the goal of my life? God. I must reach God in this life before this body stops functioning. That must be a resolution. That means our resolution from now onwards. Whatever obstructions come, I'm going to strive to the best of my ability as long as I can to reach God in this life. Of course, my effort is not enough. God's grace is necessary, but my effort is necessary. Effort is not enough, but it is necessary. It's God's grace that makes it possible. 99% God's grace, 1% my effort. That came in the fifth verse in this chapter, chapter 6, verse 5. 5 and 6, we saw self-effort. Chapter 6, verse 5 and 6, we saw the importance of self-effort. Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet. That verse and the next verse, they emphasize self-effort. Self-effort is very necessary. Without it, no progress is made, but it is not sufficient. It's God's grace that makes everything possible. You have to pray. You have to pray for grace. Oh Lord, I cannot do much japa meditation. My abilities are limited. I'm striving as hard as I can with all my limitations I have. I need your grace. Please bestow your grace upon me. So in that famous verse, Prakritim Paramam, composed by Swami Abhedananda, there it says, Premaika bindum chiradagda chitte vishincha chittam puranasu shantam. Premaika bindum, with a bindu means a drop of your prema, of your love, of your grace. My mind is scorched. Chiradagda chitte, premaika bindum vishincha chittam. Make my mind, quench my mind. My mind is burning with all kinds of worldly problems, emotional problems, desires, anger, disappointment, physical problems. I'm burning with all these things. Vishincha chittam kurunasu shantam. My mind, make my mind calm and free from anxiety with a drop of the ocean of your compassion. Your ocean of compassion, all I need is a drop of that ocean. Like this, we have to pray. Prayer for grace and self-effort as much as possible. These two things are necessary. So that is when spiritual life will see culmination, success. So manas samyamya, coming back to verse 14, manas samyamya machittaha yukta asita matparaha. Matparaha we were discussing. God is supreme thing. What is the one most important thing in your life? God. God. Other things we can have other things. We don't have to give up everything, but they will have their place. They will have some place in our lives. That's okay. That is verse number 14. We will do verse 15 and we will take questions. Yunjan nevam sadatmanam yogi niyatamaanasaha shantim nirvana paramam matsamstham adhigacchati. Evam sada atmanam yunjan. In this way, as described in the previous 2-3 shlokas, yogi atmanam yunjan, engaging oneself in yoga. Yoga here means practice of meditation. Engaging oneself in meditation in the way, according to instructions given in the previous 3 verses. Niyatamanasa, same thing comes again, controlling the mind. No matter where you go, controlling the mind keeps coming back. There's no escape from that one. Niyatamanasa, with a disciplined mind. Nirvana Parama, what happens to such a person if you strive so hard? That is explained here, the result of that effort. Nirvana Parama Matsamstham Shantim Adhigacchati. Shanti means supreme peace, not ordinary peace. Ordinary peace means if there is nothing is bothering me, that is peaceful. That is not stable. Something will go wrong in next moment, and there's no more peace. Nirvana paramam shantim. Something that means culminating in moksha, liberation, nirvana. Peace that passeth understanding, Christians say. Not ordinary worldly peace. Peace that culminates in nirvana, in liberation. Nirvana paramam shantim matsam stham. That shanti is based in God, not on worldly, dependent on worldly things. The peace that we look for is absence of problems in worldly things. That is not real peace at all. The only true peace comes from God. God is peace. So if we look for peace in God, we will get there. It is eternal, unchanging, infinite peace, unconditional peace. Matsam stham shantim nirvana paramam shantim adhigacchati. Thus applying himself unintermittently with a disciplined mind, the yogin wins peace, which is abidance in me. True abidance in God is the peace. True peace is abidance in God. Nirvana parama matsam stham shantim adhigacchati. Such a person reaches supreme peace, which is God himself. That is the goal of spiritual life, to reach God, enjoy the supreme peace. That is the culmination of meditation on effort. Verse number 16 onward, topic changes. We'll do it next time. Here, 16, 17, the topic of moderation in everything comes. Very interesting topic, important topic. We will do that 16, 17 next time. Little different topic, very important topic. Now we have 4-5 minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask now, or you want to add something, we'll discuss. This chapter has many practical instructions, but those instructions are general. You have to modify these instructions to suit your individual conditions and requirements. Especially in regard to timing, in regard to food, in regard to seating, asana, a place of worship, time, etc. There you have to make your own personal adjustments that suit your requirements. Anything else?
Swamiji, and verse 15, we say the yogi of disciplined mind, attains nirvana. He is constantly keeping his mind absorbed in me. Now, me is God, and God is it Lord Krishna, the personal form that we are all the time talking when Lord Krishna says, in me. Me
here means your Ishta Devata, your chosen ideal. One God having infinite number of forms, whichever form you choose to worship, that is your chosen ideal.
But in many translations, in many translations it says God. So
God means general term.
So should we use the general term, or me, or Ishta
whatever
Devta?
term you use, you have to keep your chosen ideal in your mind. That's the idea. God, any term you can use. You can use God or Krishna or anything, or Bhagavan. But what you have to do is to keep your mind on your chosen ideal. If it is Rama or Krishna, Ramakrishna or Shiva, whomever you worship, on that aspect you have to keep your mind. Okay. Don't pay attention to the words, because whatever word you use, only other words come into conflict. So words are confusing. The idea is keep your mind fixed on your chosen ideal, whomever you worship, whomever you have chosen to worship as your Ishta Devata. Your Guru tells you what's your Ishta Devata. When the Guru gives a mantra, he gives your Ishta Devata. Or he may ask you, who is your Ishta Devata? Sometimes they will ask you, whom do you like to worship? Then that's the one aspect of God you have to keep on in your mind all the time.
See, if we were to quote Lord Krishna's words, be always, by always having your disciplined mind absorbed in me, all desires. And the quotation says, my divinity, or me, the supreme peace.
Me
Now,
here means God.
if it is
Krishna is
third,
speaking. Krishna happens to be the person who is giving this message, but this message comes from God.
Okay. So, okay.
Somebody has to speak, has to be the speaker, but the message is from the divine source, divine origin. Krishna happens to be speaker in the Bhagavad Gita. If you read same reading in some other Purana, some other aspect of God will be speaking there. And if you read, for example, Chandi, Durga will be speaking there. Worship me like this, she will say. So if Durga happens to be your chosen ideal, then you worship Durga. But the teachings are the same. It comes from through Durga in Durga Saptashati, it comes in the Gita through Sri Krishna, or it comes in Bhagavata through Prahlada, through whomever it comes, teachings has to come through some personality. Somebody has to speak. So not the speaker is not the important, the message is important. Keep the mind fixed on God means keeps the mind fixed on that aspect of God which you have chosen to worship. God will appear in that form to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Swamiji, there is a question from a devotee. Ma Sarada.
I can't hear somebody speaking.
Can you hear me, Swamiji?
Let me increase the volume here. Hold on. Audio setting. Output level. It's about all I can get here. Try again, let me see.
Can you hear me, Swamiji, now?
Somewhat better.
Okay. The question is, Ma Sarada talks of japa 15K to 20K times a day.
Yeah.
What japa should be done uninitiated?
If you're initiated, your japa given by the Guru must be done.
If uninitiated, can we do japa? That's the question.
You can repeat God's name of your choice, but it will be much more efficient if it is given by a Guru. Still, if you repeat God's name of your choice, it will produce the same result. But if the mantra comes from a teacher, it comes through the Guru Parampara. For example, if somebody receives mantra from a Ramakrishna Mission Swami, it comes from Sri Ramakrishna. Totapuri, Sri Ramakrishna disciples, and their disciples and the teacher. So comes with their accumulated power, spiritual power. That's the advantage of getting mantra from a Guru. Comes from the accumulated spiritual power of the whole lineage of the teachers. Or you can get a mantra from your family Guru, or you can yourself choose. It'll still have the effect. God's name is always infallible. It always have an effect. But doing 15,000-20,000 a day takes a lot of time and commitment.
Thank you.
If you want to see the result, tangible, visible, perceptible result. Otherwise, even if you do a little bit less, the result will be there. You won't be able to feel it that much.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Shall we say the closing prayer now?
Yeah.
No more questions? Okay. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy. May all be free from diseases and other problems. May all understand and practice what is noble and dharmic. May no one be subject to any kind of suffering or misery. Om peace. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all the beings. No ill will, no hatred among the beings. May there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Devika Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sarvam Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. All of you stay well.